And that is House Judiciary Committee Chairman Congressman Jim Jordan with me on Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo's Wall Street this weekend as he identifies at least one decision Joe Biden made to placate Russian energy company Burisma, allegedly in exchange for being paid $5 million to Joe and another $5 million to Hunter. Joining me right now with more is Peter Schweizer. He's president of the Government Accountability Institute. He is author of Secret Empires, How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. And it was in this book, Peter, that you exposed how Hunter Biden was serving on the board of a Chinese venture called BHR. Archer testified that your book was, quote, the catalyst for Hunter to step down from the board of Burisma. Start us off here, Peter, with your assessment of the Devon Archer testimony.
Well, and let me just add, Maria, by the way, the reason we're at this point today exposing what went on with the Bidens is because you, unlike the vast majority of your colleagues, actually pushed this story since 2018. That's important for your audience to know. But I think that Devon Archer's testimony was absolutely devastating. I was concerned going in. Keep in mind that his lawyer works at Boies Schiller, which is where Hunter Biden was a lawyer from 2009 to 2014. That firm has a long association with the Bidens and the Democratic Party, but it did not dissuade his testimony. And I thought Devon Archer was measured and focused and key because having studied this since 2016, he is really the guy with the business acumen of all the people that are sort of revolving around Hunter Biden with these various entities that were set up. Devon Archer was the adult in the room in terms of how this business should be structured, and he confirmed everything that everybody assumed the worst of, which is that Joe Biden was the product that this firm was selling. And he unequivocally said any, people discussing or claiming that he was not involved with his son's business is totally and completely incorrect. I would add the next shoe that may drop is there's another individual involved with Hunter Biden named Eric Schwerin. If Devon Archer was the sort of business guy, the deal guy, and how you structure this, Eric Schwerin was the money guy. He's the guy that moved money around, and based on the Hunter Biden laptop, Schwerin had access not only to Hunter Biden's accounts, but also Joe Biden's accounts. So when he testifies before the committee, it's going to be interesting to see what he says and what pressure he might be under from this administration.
So I suspect when Eric Schwerin testifies and we get more information into this, the next day, Trump will get another indictment. I am expecting that. I mean, it's actually not funny. But, Peter, you told us the last time you were with us about a cell phone that Joe Biden was using as vice president. This is not a government phone. This was a phone that you said Hunter Biden was paying for. Talk to us about that phone and what that phone might inform.
Yeah, so this is a cell phone that on the Hunter Biden laptop, Hunter Biden actually in 2017 complains to his dad that he doesn't want to pay his dad's bills anymore, including this cell phone. So he basically says, Dad, you need to start paying for your own cell phone. When you look at the billing on the laptop, this cell phone that that Joe Biden carried as vice president of the United States was actually paid for by Rosemont, the Archer Hunter Biden business. So this is not a personal phone. It's not a government phone. And it's pretty clear this is the phone of contact when Hunter was with his business partners and was calling his dad, or when one of the other business associates, Eric Schwerin, is calling Joe Biden. He's using this phone number. We shared that phone number with the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Comer's committee. I don't know if they've subpoenaed it yet, but this could be the the pick that unlocks everything. Because if there were, in fact, phone calls with Zlochevsky, the head of Burisma, the involvement with the bribe allegation, or other foreign nationals, they would be calling Joe Biden on that phone. And I think it's very important for the American people to know who on the back channel was actually talking to the vice president of the United States and doing business with his son.
Yeah, and I spoke to John Solomon, the investigative reporter from Just the News, and he told me he called the cell phone and Joe Biden picked up. And he said, hello, Mr. President, and he knew that it was Joe Biden who paid, so he still has the phone.
Yeah, that could very well be, absolutely. And it's clear that this is his phone. This is a private phone. He picks it up. And this is the key. If you look at what's happened with the Biden narrative, it has completely collapsed. And honestly, I don't know how any self-respecting journalist is going to pay attention to anything that the Bidens say because of how many times they've been lied to. It reminds me of these terrible situations of spousal abuse where the abused spouse just keeps going back and making excuses for the abuser. That's kind of where we are with the media. And I think that this telephone would be ultimately the thing that shows to everybody, not only that this was haphazard and there were these occasional phone calls, this was a systematic business operation that the Bidens were running to sell access, to sell influence. And by my calculation, they got $30 million from the Chinese. On top of that, they got money from the Ukrainians, the Kazakhs, the Russians, and others. It's an astronomical number when you look at it in the larger context.
And I would offer, in addition to the shameful media ignoring all of this, how about Democrats completely ignoring these 176 suspicious activity reports or the bank records indicating exactly what you just said? Dan Goldman actually telling us that they talked about the weather. I mean, gosh, how do you actually sit there with a straight face and do this? But on another point on that phone, the Burisma head said that he had 17 recordings, that he taped 2 recordings with Joe Biden and 15 others with Hunter Biden. Are you saying you think those conversations took place on that phone? Because then it should be recoverable.
Yeah, I would think that if there was a one-to-one phone call with Zlochevsky and Joe Biden, it would be on that phone. And I think there were probably phone calls from other foreign nationals as well. Look, in my mind, there's no reason that this phone should not be available to the committee and to the public and that they shouldn't subpoena it. It's not a government phone. Certainly, he would not have wanted to discuss any kind of national security issues in any legitimate way on that phone. So, my hope is the committee has subpoenaed it. I don't know if they have. I don't need to know. But that's going to be a crucial part of this record. And I think things are just going to continue to get worse for the Bidens, not better.
Unfortunately, right now, we're in a situation where communist China is getting more and more aggressive with America. We've been talking about this latest incident where China and Russia did naval work right near the border of Alaska. And it actually had to trigger a response from the United States. Does it surprise you that, given all of this influence peddling and money that the Biden family has taken in, that communist China is emboldened and empowered to actually act against America and its citizens?
Unfortunately, it doesn't, Maria. And this is the problem when you're dealing with a political figure that is facing these allegations, and I would say truthful allegations of corruption and influence peddling involving foreign nationals. Let's remember, this is not somebody back in somebody's congressional district who wanted a government contract. This is foreign global corruption. And in the case of China, they're aware of the financial commitments, the financial transfer of funds that have been made to the Biden family. And keep in mind on the Ukraine side as well, Maria, that F-1023 document, the allegation of Burisma bribery, if you read that document, Zlochevsky, the head of Burisma, is making those allegations to the confidential human source. Another person said to be present at those meetings was an individual that works for President Zelensky of Ukraine. That means certainly that if that conversation took place, I would imagine President Zelensky knows of the claims that Burisma bribed Joe Biden. That's the kind of leverage in the context of Ukraine or China that is extremely worrisome, and that's what should be driving this investigation.
All extraordinary. You've done incredible work, Peter. Thanks very much for being with me this morning.
Thanks, Maria.
Peter Schweizer is the president of the Government Accountability Institute. Thank you so much.